Good morning and welcome to this beginner class of low pressure fitness. We are about halfway through this series. So I'm going to be trying to talk a little bit less at you, which should be nice. We may try to hold the apneas a little bit longer, inhale and exhale a little bit longer, and I'll be adding in a few more dynamic aspects to the poses so that by the time we're done with this series, if you wanted to take a more advanced class, then you would feel reasonably comfortable starting with that. Okay, so make sure you have your mat that makes you feel more comfortable, and then either some kind of poop, yoga block, folded towel for sitting on or kneeling on, or for your hands as you need. We're going to begin on the floor today on our backs. And we're going to start in hook line. So we're going to lay down flat here with our legs bent. And we're going to work a little bit on this abdominal cavity. We've done this before. But loosening up this tissue is going to help us create that abdominal vacuum, which helps mobilize all of the guts, the vagus nerves, and any kind of scar tissue you may have in the abdomen. And if you have some level of prolapse, gives you a little more opportunity to create more lift on your pelvic organs. So in this position, I want you to take your hands, and if you can, get them on your skin. So slip them kind of under your pants so that your thumbs are going to be underneath the inferior border of your ribs here. And then we're going to create kind of like we're sort of cupping, like we're putting our hands gently around a ball here. So we're going to kind of cup around the contents of our tummy here. So we're inside the ribs, we're above the pubic bone, and we're below the rib cage, and we're really gently sinking in and just sort of grasping the contents in the middle. And then I want you to take your hands and gently kind of glide. It's almost like you have a little ball there. So you're going to kind of glide the ball down towards 6 on that pelvic clock. And you're going to try gliding up towards 12. You're going to try gliding side to side. And we're just looking for any direction that feels maybe a little stiffer, a little more restricted. We're not yanking on it. We're just sort of gently gliding the contents. So decide, you can even do diagonals. Okay. All of this stuff needs to slide and glide. So I want you to decide what feels like the stickiest direction and gently glide into that direction. Not painful, not a lot of tension, just a little bit. And then we're going to rock our pelvic clock here. So 12 to 6, we're kind of rolling towards the tailbone and then up towards the navel. Back is flattening, down towards the tailbone, back is arching. And then play with your clock here. Side to side, diagonals. This is really great if you have a C-section scar down towards the pubic bone. Take a little time to mobilize that. Good. Now I want you to find the second stickiest direction. Glide gently into that resistance. And then we're going to rock gently there. You're just using the clock as a guide to kind of play with loosening this up. It should feel easy and relaxing. It should not feel sharp or painful. Might make you feel like you have to go to the bathroom. You can just pause it if that happens. Good. Okay, now let's come up to the bottom edge of our ribs, and we're gliding on each side from the center out. I want you to decide which side feels stickier. Take both hands to that side. Gently kind of try to sink your fingers under the ribs if you're able to. Good. And bring your feet together and just let your knees fall side to side as you're on that maybe tighter or stickier spot under those ribs. So we're loosening up this area where the abs come in and attach to the ribs, where some of the fibers of the diaphragm may be sneaking down so that it's easier for us to open up that rib cage. That helps us get a better breath in, helps us create more abdominal vacuum, helps us manage pressure within our whole body. All right, let's go to the other side. Gliding down, finding your sticky spot or spots, gently seeing if you can sink into that area. And then you could use the clock if you don't like letting the legs fall side to side. Good. Now let's take the left arm up towards a high V, as long as we don't have any pinching. And bring your hand next to your breastbone or sternum here, and then glide out on a diagonal towards that shoulder. Give yourself a few sweeps there. So we're kind of opening up the chest here. Make sure your head is in a neutral position. You're not bent back. If you need a little something to support your head in this position, use it. And then if we've got our left arm up, I want you to let your legs fall to the right. Keeping a little pressure on that shoulder, stretching it along that diagonal. And then come back, and then sweeping those fingers up toward the shoulder, kind of massaging that pec as we stretch and lengthen in the other direction. Good. Now I want you to bring your hand a little more up along the collarbone. And just above the collarbone, don't put a lot of pressure here, but gently kind of sink along the border of that bone and turn your head to the right. So we're kind of gliding our fingers along the top edge of that collarbone out towards the shoulder as we turn our head to the right. So we're loosening up this neck tissue, scalene muscles, around where the first rib is, around where the nerves come down into that point. Also probably waking up some more points here. Good. Bring that arm down. Let's take the right arm up. We're going to do the same thing. Hand at the center, gliding out along the pec, letting those legs fall over. One side might be a lot different than the other. That's fine. Just adjust as you need to. If it feels especially tight, you can kind of breathe into that. See if you can help it release with the breath. As you start loosening up, you might be able to take your arm up a little bit higher. Play around with that. Good. Now hand comes on top of that clavicle or collarbone, gliding out to the side as we turn our head in the opposite direction. Really good. Okay, now I want you to bring your hand up to the very top of your breastbone. So your neck comes down, and then we just get into this, the first part of the sternum or breastbone here. And in these classes, we focus a lot on expanding the rib cage out to the side. But this is also an area for our head and neck mobility, where we tend to get flexed forward and stuck down here. So we're going to do a little breath work right up into this part of our chest. So I want you to place your hand on it. And when you breathe in, I want you to see, can you lift your hand? Can you press your hand like a pump handle, like the hand's coming up towards your face? And then relax down. Did you feel any movement? You know, we talk about the ribs on the side are more like a bucket handle or opening of an umbrella. And this part of our rib cage or sternum is more like a pump. So it's coming up forward, up towards our chin. Breathe in again. And try directing your breath up towards that area, filling it up. And then exhale. You can kind of follow it down with your hand and give yourself just a little extra pressure and give you a little more stretch through that fascia on the front. And then when you breathe up into there, try to open against that slight resistance. Really good. Okay, let's do our first apnea here. We're just going to focus on the breath work. Knees are bent. We won't do a whole pose, but just place your hands on the side of your ribs. And we're going to do a 3 breath cycle. So I'll just kind of intermittently guide you through the 3 breaths, but do them as you feel comfortable. So breathing in. And out. Breathing in. Since we're just focusing on the ribs here, I want you to practice slowly opening them. So it takes you the whole 5 seconds or so to get the rib cage open. Whole 5 or 6 seconds to allow the air back out. Let's do our last breath. Exhaling. After you prepare the apnea, closing your nose, throat, and mouth, I want you to slowly open the ribs and see if you can open them for the whole 6 seconds. Breathing in. Very good. Let's do a little bit of a modified Demeter here since we're on our back. So if you've got that towel roll, yoga block, or a little poop, I want you to place it underneath your hip bones here. So it's kind of behind under the sacrum and the hip bones. The low back is free. So we're just giving ourselves a little bit of elevation here, a little bit of traction through the low back. And we're going to take our legs out a little bit further into more that 45-degree angle, toes up, pressing through the heels. Let's do arms out to the side, palms up. We just did a lot of work through our pec region. So if you're able to come up a little bit higher into a higher Venus, do that. Press the hands back into the floor. Lengthen the neck. We'll do a 3 breath cycle here. Breathe in. Exhaling. breath. Exhale. Clear the abdomen. Close your nose to the window. Open the ribs. Keep opening, expanding. And exhaling. Very good. All right, poop comes out from under us, and we're going to move up into standing, do a little more warm up, and then get into our flow. So you can come onto your side and come on up. Good. So laying down, we did some work through here to start opening up this part of our chest, and we did some breathing into this part of our rib cage to practice expansion this way. So if we don't have this mobility in this upper 1, 2, 3 ribs, then that's going to make that little hump that we're all getting from looking down much harder to mobilize back. So we did some opening in the front, and now we're going to work a little bit on that, getting some extension through that area because almost everybody needs that. So let's begin though, legs a little bit wider and bend them. And then I want you to place your hand on your left leg. Take your right arm up towards the ceiling. We're going to use this like a prop. Reach up and then side bend over. And see if you can do this without starting to rotate. So we should really be feeling lots of stretching, but you don't need this, all the way through there. And then take a breath in. Exhale, and maybe go a little lower. Good, we're gonna come back up, hand on the other hip as a little bit of a prop, left arm comes up towards the ceiling, reach it long, and then side bend over. This is where I'm really tight, I start to rotate. See if you can stay in the same plane. This is really the frontal plane. Deep breath into our ribs. Exhale. See if you can go a little bit lower. Very good. Arms come back behind your neck. And this kind of more prominent part of where our neck meets our rib cage. Interlace your fingers gently and place your hands right there. Now, what I want you to try to do is gently tuck the chin, lengthening through the crown of the head. And then once you do that, so you're putting a little pressure on your head and neck into your hands. And if you're able, I want you to now keep that gentle pressure through the head and neck and open your elbows. Try not to let your chest really lift up here. So we're doing a mobilization, kind of a traction and retraction for our cervicothoracic junction. It's just where our neck meets our rib cage. We're really stretching open that shoulder girdle. Very good. Relax that. Okay, let's do a little warm up for our arms. So let's come down into Venus. You can have hands in front just a little bit. We're going to breathe in. As you breathe in, I want you to take your arms up and rotate the palms up towards the ceiling. And then exhale. And as you come down, you're going to rotate the palms facing behind you. So breathing up. Thumb rotates. Hands come up towards the ceiling. Thumb is pointing backwards. Exhale, hands come down. Palms are facing behind us. Now this time, as you breathe in, rotate the arms up. And with length, allow the trunk to elevate with the arms just a little bit and gently gaze up towards the ceiling or where the ceiling meets the wall. And then come back down. And let's do one more like that. Breathing in, thumbs rotating out, ever so slightly lifting and leaning back as we take everything up a little bit taller. Good. Hands in low Athena here. Focus on spreading the shoulder blades, elbows pressing apart, hands towards the floor. Breathing in. We're going to go a little bit slower with this. So when our shoulders are in internal rotation here, sometimes we don't have as much mobility. Breathing in. See if we can take them up a little bit higher without too much pinch in the shoulders. And up. Now unrotate. If you've got dinner plates on your hands and reach the arms wide. Bring them back and come down. Let's do that again. Breathing in, arms are rotating up. As we get to the top, allow the fingers to spin so they're pointing away from each other and reaching wide. Unrotate, come back down. Good. Okay, let's move into a little Venus and we'll start our flow. So we're going to do Venus with a little bit of dynamic arms. Remember, in our standing poses, we've got our feet rooted, hip distance apart, lengthening through the low back, stacking the rib cage, head growing tall. And then our Venus arms, we're going to start down low. And our last piece of this is axis forward. Let's just practice that a little bit. So we're just leaning from the ankle, like we're kind of looking out over. We'll feel a little more pressure come into the ball of our feet and our toes. Good, and then stay there. 3 breaths here. So breathing in. On the exhale, just focus on lengthening and reaching the fingers away. Breathing in. Just taking the arms up to high Venus. Exhale. Bringing them back down. Working on our neutral spine, even though our arms come up. Last breath, we're breathing in. Good. As you come up, allow your head and neck to lift a little bit. Keep your arms here. Exhale. Hold your breath. Create that. Breathing in and bringing the arms back down. Good, we're going to come into Artemis here. So hands are coming down into low Athena. Have your poof nearby. And remember, our thumbs are together here. So we're low Athena, but we're connecting our hands to the crease of our hip. Okay, we've got a little axis forward. Now, the only place we're going to bend is right at our hip, over our hands. We're not shifting back. It's like our hands are a railing that we trust. And we're going to lean over that railing. And our gaze is going to be towards where the wall meets the floor. So now we're in standing, but we're unloading our abdomen and pelvis more here, and we're asking our posterior chain to do a lot of work. Breathing in. Exhale. On the exhale is when we focus into our spine, lengthening tailbone to crown, pressing out wide the shoulders. Breathing in. Exhale. Last breath. Exhale. The bottom of this breath. Close your nose, throat, and mouth. Feel the apnea. Open your wrists. Slowly open. Pulling them open, creating more space between the rib cage and your pelvis. Breathing in as you need to. And exhaling. Good. Stay here. Step one foot back. Hang on. Which foot did I want it to be? Left leg. Step your left leg back. And drop down into half kneeling. So we're in asymmetric aura. Aura is here. When we're making it asymmetrical. You may want something underneath your knee. This can make it a little bit easier to square up your hips. Back toe is tucked. Okay, we have a little bit of weight through that front leg. We're tucking this tailbone, so we're trying to get a straight line down from the knee all the way up through the crown of the head. A little bit of axis forward. Very good. Connect the right arm in to the right leg. Take the left arm up into high Athena, whatever you can get there. We're going to do 2 breaths, if this is hard to hold. So breathing in. Exhale. Growing tall, checking in with your head, checking in with your hips. Last breath in. Exhale. Pressing those arms wide. Hold your breath. Open the ribcage. Create the apnea. You feel good mobilization coming into the front of that left hip. Exhale. Bring the left arm down to the right. If you're able to get up from this, push into that leg. Stand back up. And we're going to come into a wide stance here. Okay, so we're challenging our pelvic floor a little bit more in this position because we're taking our hips wider, stretching adductors, which tend to help us keep our pelvic floor strong. You can face your feet forward if it's comfortable. If you need them turned out a little bit, that's fine. Create a small bend in the knee. Keep the knees tracking out over the toes. I don't want them falling in like this. And as you do that, check in that you're not jumping into a bit of anterior pelvic tilt. So keep that link. You're going to feel some work in your hip external rotators. You may feel some stretching through the front of the hip to get into this position here. Good. Now, let's start in this low Athena position. Good. Breathing in. Good. Exhaling, pressing those arms wide. Good. Breathing in, want to rotate up to high Athena. Exhale. Bring it back. Last breath, breathing in. The arms up. Exhale. Back down. At the bottom here. You're going to create your apnea. Close nose, throat, and mouth. Open the ribs. Rotate the arms up. Hold that apnea. Open them like we did. Those dinner plates coming out wide. Breathing in, exhale, bringing the arms back down. Now we're going to turn to our left or right, whichever way you didn't turn the other way. Good. Opposite leg, for me it's my right leg is dropping down into asymmetric aura for the other side. Drop if you need to, tuck the toes, create kind of a square 90-90 through those legs, square up the hips, headlights pointed forward, so we're not rotating open like this. Squeeze the bottom, create that long line from the knee up towards the crown of the head. Left hand connects with that top knee. Right arm comes up towards the ceiling. Breathing in. Exhale. Pressing those elbows away from each other on the diagonal. Last breath in. Exhale. Create your abdomen. Open the ribs. Breathing in as you need to. Exhale, hand comes down to meet the other one. Press back. Oh, and we're not going back up to standing. Good news is we get to come down into Gaia. So we can bring that other leg down to kneeling. Bring your poof out. If you need to kneel, put something for your knees, you can, or for your wrists to prop them up a little bit. Okay, let's give our toes a break here. Just circle your feet, your toes, flex them around. And let's just do a little cactus. We're going to round and let our head drop down. And then we're going to let our back drop to the mat, towards the mat. Arching our back. Let's do just a couple more of those. Good. We're going to tuck our toes and find our neutral back position. We're going to keep our hands straight here. A little bit of axis forward, so we don't have all our weight back on our knees. We're shifted forward, so we have good weight through the shoulder girdle here. Arms are pushing into the mat and pressing wide, pressing out through those heels. Breathing in. Really noticing this 360 degrees of rib expansion here. Exhaling. Another breath, breathing in. On the exhale, allow the crown of your head to reach long towards the floor. So there's space between your chin and your chest as you do this. Your back is staying flat. With the head down, breathe in again. Exhale. You can grow even longer on the exhale, pushing through the arms. Hold your breath at the bottom. Open your wrist. Breathing in. Very good. We're going to come down to our elbows. So we're moving into Isis triangle. Bring your hands together so they make a triangle and widen your elbows. Drop down so that your head is just resting in that triangle that you made, but you do not have pressure through it. You should have a lot of pushing through the elbows here. Breathing in. If this is too difficult, just prop on your forearms with your head off the ground in Maya. Breathing in. Exhale. Push through those elbows into the floor, supporting yourself. Last breath in. Exhale. At the bottom, hold your breath. Open the ribs. Exhale, uncurl your toes. Shift your weight back into a child's pose. Allow your head to relax. Okay, cross your ankle behind you. And then I want you to walk your hands back until you're right about hands with your knees. In this position, take a breath in. Good. On the exhale, press with your hands and push yourself back into cross-legged sitting. Very good. All right, grab your poof or your yoga block or hestia. And we're eventually going to lean backwards and end up on our back. So if you want to scoot forward on the mat a little bit to prepare for that, so we're going to work on our transition, then you can. And you may want to stay facing long. It'll be easier. I'm going to face this way so you can see me. But then we'll turn it back around. All right, legs are in the wing position. Dorsiflex the feet. Let's connect the arms here. Breathing in. Exhale. Push through those arms. So this gives us a chance to create lots of space between the ribcage and the pelvis. Breathing again. Exhaling. Do another breath. Inhale. Bring the arms up into mid-feet. On the exhale, turn your sternum to the left. Inhale. Come back. So arms are staying in a ring, hips are staying glued to the floor. Down. Exhale. Sternum to the right. Inhale. Come back. Down to one more breath. Breathe in. Exhale, we'll do our apnea at the bottom of this breath. Good. Hold your breath, create the apnea. Use those arms to bring the ribs up, up, up. Breathing in as you need to. Very good. You can leave your poop or take it out. I'm going to take it out. I want you to bring your legs out in front of you just a little bit. So hips are a little bit wider than, heels are a little wider than hips. Prop yourself up as you need to from behind. And we're going to do just a little bit of hip mobility work here. So we're rotating those legs side to side. If you're on Instagram, you see everyone do this. It is a nice hip mobility workout. Since we're here sitting, we're going to take advantage of doing this just a little bit. If you wanted to challenge yourself a little bit more, then you could come up without the arm support and do the rotation. Very good. Okay. Now you're on your mat lengthwise. Okay. Legs are out in front. Hands are behind you here, propping you up. So we're going to kind of practice this mermaid transition to getting down to the floor. So I want you to breathe in. Good. And on the exhale, keeping the spine long, you're going to press the arms out and slowly lower yourself down as you're able. Good. So now we're on our back, and we're going to bring our feet in here to Aphrodite. So heels are a little bit wider than our hips, and knees are bent. Good. Turn the palms up, take the arms up into a high Venus. So we're a little bit in kind of a bit of an X here. Pull the toes up. Good. Press through the heels. You've got a neutral spine. Lengthen the neck. Reach through the fingers. Breathing in here. This will be our last apnea series. Exhaling. On the exhale, really reach the arms long. Push through those heels. Breathe in again. Exhale, press the hips up. Keep the spine long, keep the toes up. Good. Exhale and stay here. Breathe in. Exhale here. We're going to stay up in this bridge. At the bottom of the exhale, hold your breath. Open the ribs. Open. We're going to hold this one nice and long. Breathing in. Exhale. Keep the spine long. Slowly lower your hips back down. Good. Lots of glute work there. So if you want, bring your knee to your chest. A little stretch. You can twist it into a little bit of a figure four. Stretch out the back of that hip. Put that leg down. Other one comes back. Rotating. Very good. Reach those legs out long. As long as that feels good for your back. Good. Take the arms up overhead. So you're like a long pencil here. Point the toes. Reach the fingertips. Deep breath in. Exhale. Bring the arms down to a comfortable position. Relax the hips. Roll the ankles around. Shake the legs a little bit. Nod the chin. Allow yourself to sink into the mat. You've done a lot of intentional holding, pushing, lengthening, pulling the ribs open. So now we're just going to let ourselves be whatever position we end up in, as long as it's comfortable. We're sinking into the mat. Releasing any tension down in the toes and the feet, up through the calves, behind the knees and thighs. Coming up to our pelvis and letting go of any holding we have in our glutes. around our pelvic floor. And your abdomen gently rise and fall. With breathing. And go up and tightness in our chest. Allowing the shoulders to let go, elbows release, go soft. Head to our face, letting eyebrows, muscles around the eyes. Jaw releases, deeper apart. Just allowing ourselves to breathe quietly here. We have minutes to go. And whenever you're ready, slide both one heel, then the other heel up towards your body. Roll onto your side. Press yourself up to sitting. And then come up to sitting. We'll end the recording there.